hiding because of past experiences? Welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. I am so incredibly grateful that you are here. If you are watching the video, that is the arch from St. Louis, Missouri in the background. Yeah, how cool is that? All right, so are you hiding because of past experiences? I've had 4 different people that I've worked with over the past week that have had that sort of a hiding energy. Something had occurred in the past, and because of that, what they did was they chose to hide instead of be themselves, instead of be who they are in the world, in their business, whatever it may be. And so it made me wonder how many of you have had experiences where you then chose to hide based on that. And one of them, I would say this was probably 3 of the 4, there was something that occurred as a child and they were magical. Maybe they saw their, grandparent who had died and they let their parents know that they were with them or something, and it scared their parents. So then the child took that as it was wrong and bad and shut it down, and then have continued to shut down that energy. And so you want to look at that. If this is something you'd like to change, and that's something you remember, or maybe you don't even remember the experience, but there's an energy as I talk about it, something you want to be aware of with that, because those can really keep that, as I've been talking about a lot lately, is this imposter syndrome, where we really stop ourselves from shining, from being all of us. And, my own experience, and I've got many shows, if you go back in the last few weeks, about my own, and I didn't even know I was choosing imposter syndrome. For me, I was echoing other people's work. That was how it was showing up for me. I wasn't aware of it. But for a lot of people, it's this. They've had basically some sort of an experience where they were told they were bad and wrong for whatever went on, and they started shutting it down. And then as they grew into adults, they either never really looked at it, or they remembered it, they were aware of it, but they didn't know what to do with that. Because that's a pretty big energy. You can imagine if you were a young child and somebody that you cared about had died, and then you energetically saw them, or you physically saw them, or you connected with their energy, and you shared that with people who you love, and you expected the joy, you expected the happiness, you expected a totally different response than being shut down for it. Can imagine how you would take that forward. So how do you change that now? I mean, one of it is just acknowledge it. Acknowledge the magic that it was for you, even if nobody else did. And this to me is something that we all have to do for ourselves. We really have to look at what we know is magic for us and not look outside of us. And that's not really the easiest thing to do. I get that. I mean, really, we've been taught that that's what we're supposed to do. That's how it's supposed to be in this world, is that if we're good, if we're right, then the outside world will let us know, instead of us acknowledging it for ourselves. So that's, I would say, the first thing you want to look at is whatever that experience was. Acknowledge it for you. Acknowledge the magic you were in that. Acknowledge what was really going on. For a lot of people, so I'm going to stick with that example of seeing, and energetically connecting with someone who had died. For a lot of people, that's a really scary thing. So it actually had nothing to do with you as the child. And I know you took it on. I know you took it very personal. I know you made it about you, but it had nothing to do with you. It had to do with their own fear, with their own points of view, their own belief systems, whatever it might be. And sometimes there's this automatic response with stuff like that, because this world tells us it's so wrong. This world tells us when somebody dies, they're dead, they're gone, or they have other ideas of it. If there's some religions that believe if you can connect, then you're the devil, or you're doing the work of the devil, and different stuff like that. So there's so much stuff out there, instead of just acknowledging hey, you know what? I am magical as fuck. I was able to connect, and maybe you still are. I was, whatever, able to connect, and that is magical. And have some grace for yourself. Have some allowance for yourself. And you don't have to make the people or person right or wrong for the other part. that's their stuff. Let that be, but really acknowledge you for it, and really get in that sense of, how would you like that magic to show up now? Because here's the thing, you be magical. You be magical. I was so magical, I just brought a big noisy train in. So I paused for a little bit. Hopefully it's going to be this quiet for now. But so when we look at that and we acknowledge ourselves and we acknowledge the magic that we were or we are, however you want to word it, then it allows you to be more of that, where you can actually start to really utilize those capacities. And I mean, when I say capacities, I don't mean just if you had a situation similar to what I was talking about. It could be in any way. You know, maybe you were singing. Maybe you were singing in the shower and your family made fun of you and you started shutting down. You've got capacities with singing. Now, maybe you want to get a voice coach, or maybe there's something there, or maybe it actually has nothing to do with the singing itself, but it's like just allowing yourself to be you wherever you would like to be you. And here's the thing with other people's judgments. When people do that, you know, when people, let's say you sung in the shower and then your family judged you, it can be a few things, but for the most part, it's that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that. That's all it means. But we make it so personal. We take it as though they know what they're talking about, that they're right and we're wrong. And it's like, let's just stop that, guys. Let's look at those times where we've done that and just let it go. A lot of times when I'm working with these clients that I was talking about this week, you know, what I would ask them to do with those energies, with that stuff, with those memories, that contraction, is I would just ask them, let's just go ahead and melt it. Let's just melt it. You know, if you think of that situation or situations where people did that, it's like, just go ahead and melt it. You don't even have to know what you're doing. Just energetically melt it so that you don't have to be at the effect of it anymore, so that you can really start to shine. You can really get out of this imposter syndrome and really shine as you, without all those crazy limitations of I can't do this, I shouldn't do this, this is wrong, this is right. It's like, what if there's no right or wrong? What if it's just about you being you in whatever way you would like that to be? Yeah, that's a lot of energy that just came up with that. So would you go ahead and just melt that? Would you just go ahead and melt all the reasons and justifications you have for not doing that? All of the becauses, all of the, but didn't you know, Glenyce, blah, blah, blah. Let's just melt all of that so that you can actually be you and shine as you on this planet. And I invite you to my upcoming 5-week program called Confident as Fuck, where we're going to crush imposter syndrome. And each week is a different topic, and there's been some bonuses added. So if you haven't looked at the sales page lately, go check them out. I believe there's 3 or 4 new bonuses added. It's so exciting, guys. I'm so thrilled with everybody who's chosen it so far. We start January 2nd, 2024. If you're listening later, of course, it's all recorded and everything. So there'll be a link above or below, but would love to have you come play to really start shifting this, so that you can let go of that past. You know, so often we have this kind of energetically where we're constantly looking behind us to choose our future. And what if we stopped? What if we started just choosing our future? What if we just started creating what we would like to create, rather than the limitation of looking behind us and going, oh, but that one time I sang in the shower, they made fun of me. That one time I talked about, you know, so-and-so being here with us, they told me I was, you know, I worked for the devil or something like that. I actually got a letter like that once. So in case you didn't know, I spent about 10, 12 years actually being a professional medium. And I was probably a year or 2 into it, so I was fairly new at it. It just started one day. One of my very first radio show, it's called Tell Her I Love Her. If you want more about that, that link will be somewhere. If you don't find these links, guys, just reach out, I'll get them for you. And so I got a letter, and it wasn't signed or anything, but it was that I was working for the devil, and that I needed to stop, and that it was wrong, and all those things. And I remember it so clearly, because what I remember it being was basically, here's a reason you could stop. Here's a reason you could not do this anymore. It's like the universe was giving me an out if I wanted it. And what I did, from just this real potency, I still remember the energy, because I didn't even read it all. It was like pages, and well, it wasn't this thick, but it was thick, pages and pages long. And so I basically went to the very end and read the last paragraph or so, and it was like, oh, okay, I see this isn't a, welcome to the world. This is a, you're all wrong. And what I did is I just started ripping it up into the tiniest pieces and put it into a canister thing, and I burnt it. That was like my way of saying no, I know that what I'm doing is creating greater. I know that this isn't the work of the devil, that this, I just knew it. It was so clear for me. And so if we could have that clarity with everything in our life, even the people who tell us we're wrong or bad or we shouldn't or we're not supposed to, or just know that that is their stuff. Know that that is their stuff. And the way that I see it at this point is, if there was ever a time to be all of us, like, now is the time, guys. Now is the time. I'm sure that you see all the things going on in the world as I do. And I mean, I don't speak about it, mostly because I have no clue what to say. It's not that I'm oblivious. It's not that I'm pretending. It's not that I'm oversimplifying anymore. That's a big thing I used to do. Yes. When we do shit like, oh, well, that's just a choice. No, that's oversimplification. That's very unkind. So I'm aware of it. I do what I can in the ways that I can. And let's do more. Let's shine more. Let's be all of us even more now. Because that is what I get will really shift and change all of this, is more of us being us and shining in ways that maybe we never even knew was possible. So again, come and join me in the Confident as Fuck 5-week program starting January 2nd. If you don't see the links above or below, just let me know and I will get them for you. Have a great week, sweet friends. I look forward to chatting again next week.